Ravi Balupari, and today I will walk you through the tutorial for installing API Shark. I'm installing API Shark on a Kubernetes cluster which is running on my laptop. I have a sample application and I will run and install API Shark so that we can look at the APIs going to this particular sample application. All of this is running on my laptop, which is which has Docker desktop. It has the latest Docker desktop, and I enabled Kubernetes. It's a single node Kubernetes cluster that it creates. You can click on preferences and click on Kubernetes tab, and you can see the options. If you enable that, it'll pretty much get started. And you can also check the context. It's under Docker desktop. So we have a sample demo app. It is a bank application. This is how it looks like. Let me log in. So it mimics a typical bank application. You have account summary, profile, you can do deposits, you can do transfer, you can check transaction history, and bunch of things. So the way the app is architected, let me show that to you. So here you see there are three pods. The first one is the backend API service, which is running in a pod. The second one is a front-end web service, which is running in another pod. And then we have the PostgreSQL right here. So let me now take you through the journey of installing the API Shark tool. API Shark tool consists of two major components. The first one is a controller, which also has a web front end that you can use. And the second component is the API Shark Microsensor, which is actually the component that is inspecting the APIs. So when you registered for downloading the API Shark tool, you should have received an email with a deployment script for your API Shark tool. I'm assuming that you have that handy. So let's go ahead and start the deployment. So let's create a directory for API Shark, say tool, and then I'll go into the directory. The first component is controller, and let's download the script. So this has downloaded the script. Let me run it. So it'll give you the different options. We'll do an installation, and we can give a namespace. So I'll give CV as a namespace, and it'll ask you the question about if you're deploying it in Google Kubernetes engine. So the tool can be used in any Kubernetes deployment. So if you are using your own VMs and have a Kubernetes cluster, or like me, if you're running a single node Kubernetes cluster in your own development setup, or if you're using public cloud, it is not tied to any particular public cloud. The tool can be used anywhere you have Kubernetes. The reason we ask this question is for Google Kubernetes engine, there's a different way in which we need to create a persistent volume. And to do that, we just ask the question. For now, since you're doing it on your own laptop, just select no. So this is going ahead and creating the controller. So now that we have the controller running, let's get the information of where it is, the port number for the controller. So we look at CV web node, and this is the port number. So copy that, go to your browser, and since I am using Docker desktop and Kubernetes, I can access the port directly from my browser. And this is the controller web front end for the API Shark tool. So as you can see, I had installed this prior, so I already have an account. But if this is the first time, then this is a page that would show up. So complete the form. Once you do that, it'll create an account. Please note that this is a tool that runs standalone in your environment. So in this case, it's running on the laptop. And because of that, we did not ship the tool with SSL certificates. So pretty much whatever is running is on plain text HTTP. So let me go ahead and log in. So I already have a user called ravi@test.com. And once you log in, this is how the tool looks like the first time you deploy it. So now let's proceed to the next step, which is creating the microsensor. So what we'll do is we will deploy the microsensor to this particular pod, which is the API backend service. To do that, go to the system config and click on create microsensor. Select network packet sniffer. So we'll just give a name. So instance type is Kubernetes. So there are two options that you can run the API Shark microsensor. One is in the sidecar mode and the other one is daemon set. For this demo and tutorial, we'll do the sidecar and just make sure the namespace is right. So we entered CV. So that's the namespace where the controller is running. Just say save. It should now generate the deployment script. So now it has successfully created the deployment script for the microsensor. I'll just copy this and you can click on this to get further instructions of how to deploy the microsensor. Since we have the pod running, what we'll do is we'll inject this particular sidecar container or the microsensor. So to do that, the first thing is I need to download the related patch files. So let me go back here and create a directory called microsensor. Go into the directory and download the setup file for it. So this is a link that I copied from here. So now that you have the setup file, just say, it'll ask you if you want to install, just say yes. So what this does is it will download the relevant patch files that you can use to patch your deployment or patch your or inject a microsensor into your existing pod. Okay, so we don't want to review any advanced options, so let's do this. So now it has a directory for the microsensor. Just go into this directory and go into kubectl because that's the tool we'll use for injecting the microsensor. So there are a bunch of files. So the next step is we'll create a config map. So you can go here and you can check this out. So we finished all of these steps. So now we are at step number 5. So let's take this and so we're saying we create a config map and there you have. So the next step is we want to patch this particular deployment. So let's get the deployment name. So you have, these are the 3 different deployment names. So we have the deployment name here. Let's copy the command from here. Not here, back here. So we patch the deployment and change the deployment name. So the deployment name for the pod into which we want to inject, this is the one. Copy here, and then you patch it. So let's go back here and check the pods. So as you can see, now the original pod with the backend API service is going down, and it has already started in Kubernetes has already started a new pod with the sidecar sniffer. So we can do describe pod. Now you can go here, look at the different containers. As you can see, this is a backend demo app container, and then you also have the sniffer sidecar container.